Good evening and welcome to Domination Submission Radio. My name is Mike Makai. I'm your host with the most BDSM, kink, and fetish talk on Blog Talk Radio. We have a great show for you tonight. I think you'll learn something and maybe you can even contribute to the conversation tonight. If you want to call in, then write this number down. The number is 347-857-1862. Again, 347-857-1862. And like I said, this is a call-in show, so we would appreciate if you want to call in and ask a question or share your experiences or knowledge with our audience. That would be awesome. We can also give you a chance to participate by going to our chat room at the bottom of your screen. If you're listening to us live on Blog Talk Radio, then all you got to do is scroll to the bottom of your screen. You should see a chat room there where you can interact with some of the other listeners of the show and ask your questions or make your comments there. So if you're a little bit nervous about being on the air, hearing your voice over the airwaves, then by all means ask your questions there, and we'll try and answer it on the air for you. I'd also invite you to check out our website at domination-submission.com. That's domination-submission.com. There you'll find information about the show, about my book, which is coincidentally entitled Domination and Submission, the BDSM Relationship Handbook, doing quite nicely on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and other fine booksellers. And getting ready to release another book soon, The Warrior Princess Submissive. So if you haven't checked out my Facebook and told me what you think of my planned cover art, then this is your chance. Check it out. Tell me what you think of the new book cover. All right, so our topic tonight is major fetish events. And to help me talk about this topic this evening is my Amazon redhead masochistic co-host, Little Red. Are you there, Red?
Yeah, I'm here.
Just checking. I know you got to do that work thing that some people have to do. I just realized today that I should count my lucky stars every freaking day. That basically I get to be a smart ass for a living. That's what I do for a living. Just be a smart aleck.
Not all of us are blessed to be able to stay at home in our PJs.
I have been in my PJ. At least I'm wearing pants today, but I am in my PJ bottoms today. I am wearing pants, so
that is
better
than
usual. It is a bonus. It's also neat that we have a virtual studio, so it doesn't really matter what I wear. But even so, I do have a flame-broiled hamburger right in front of me. I can't eat it because I can't eat and talk at the same time. So I'm like the Mother Teresa of BDSM here. The things I do for you people. Okay.
I thought you were the dog whisperer.
Yeah, that too. Actually, a mutual friend of ours yesterday called me the Mr. Miyagi of BDSM. I'm still trying to decide how I feel about that. I don't know. Anyway,
I would take it as a huge compliment. Mr. Miyagi was a badass. He was awesome.
Yeah. Hot wax on, hot wax off, right? All right, so anyway, we're talking tonight about major fetish events. And then when I say major fetish, I'm talking about something other than your local gathering of a dozen or a few dozen people. We're talking about maybe 200 or more, 2,000 people all gathering in one place at one time in order to celebrate their kinkiness, I guess is the best way to put it. And now you're planning to attend one of these events later in the fall. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what you're planning on attending and what your expectations are and how you feel about that? Because I know this has been very exciting for you, right?
This has been in the works since August of last year. I am going to FetishCon 2014 in lovely Tampa, Florida. They hold a convention there every year. It is one of the largest that I've heard of. I'm sure there's much larger ones, but this is the one that is major international. People from the fetish community come to this. Vendors, professional models, professional doms, and this is a place where apparently everybody gets together. The convention center they hold it in actually convert some of their conference rooms into dungeons for us, by what I've heard. They have poolside, they have so many things, and I am looking forward to going to as many classes because they hold classes on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, you know who else is going to be presenting there, right?
I saw that you actually were invited to be one of the presenters, which is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah,
we're going to have presenters like you. Lou Rubin will be there, who is I was so heartbroken not to be able to go see when he was up in Tulsa on the 29th, who is an internationally known rope master for suspension and bondage arts. Very wonderful class is being held there, given by Mistress Starlight and Disney, called Safe, Sane, and Consensual, and class should be taken by every fetish person in the world, and I cannot wait to go see it.
Now, Red, you've been in the lifestyle for a long time, and you're pretty darn experienced in the lifestyle, as comparatively speaking to the average person on the street. But this is your first major fetish event that you're going to, isn't it? Why have you waited this long to go to something like this?
One, I've been to some pretty massive play parties and dungeon parties, but I've never really wanted to go to one of the conventions. You were just down there at the Leatherfest down in Dallas, and it's not something that's ever really caught my attention until last year. A friend of ours was talking about it and how amazing it was and how many people were there and what an amazing opportunity it was for them, an amazing time to make new friends, to see different fetishes, and just be with a bunch of people who are not exactly like you but are very like-minded like you. And to see some of the amazing performances that go on there during the demos and the classes.
So why didn't you do this a long time ago? Why have you waited this long? Is it something, did it involve the expense or just being nervous about it or not knowing what to expect? I mean, I'm sure that there are people listening right now to this show who are thinking to themselves, I'd really love to go to something like this, but I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable there. Or I don't know if I can afford it. Or I don't know if I'm really going to get it. What held you back, Red?
2 small children, to be honest with you. It's not really convenient because this is a 4-day event. This year it's from August 7th to August 10th, and at the end of it, it culminates in a huge masquerade ball kind of fetish ball thing. Mm-hmm. And having 2 small kids really hindered my opportunities. Now that my kids are a little bit older, things have shifted. It's not so much 24/7 mommy, mommy, mommy time because, yes, I'm a mommy. It's okay. I'm still kinky. It's great. I just have to be a little more discreet around my house, but I am truly excited to have the opportunity to go, even if this is the only event I am ever able to attend in my entire life. I am looking forward to going and experiencing, and I'm probably sure I'm going to go into sub-frenzy over it, and that's okay. So much to do and see and experience there that it's going to be hard to pack it into those 4 days before I have to fly home.
You've been pretty excited about this for months, haven't you? I mean, I've seen you just going crazy about this. You're really looking forward to this, aren't you?
I've already purchased my weekend pass, which goes from the 7th through the meet and greet, which you have to register early for to be able to attend. So if you are planning on registering and going, you need to do it now so you can come to the meet and greet. Cocktail party. It gives you the vendor floor pass so you can go onto the vendor's floor and check out all the cool kinky toys and clothing and all the interesting and fun things they're going to have there. It lets you get into the classes. I've already got my hotel room booked. We've got the rental car booked. Next step is flights, and I'm watching flight prices because right now it's about $400 a ticket to fly from here in Oklahoma to Florida. Expense is one of the things to take into consideration because the hotel room alone was $300, and that's for 3 nights, 4 days.
Right. Now, for many people listening, this is a very important point that Red brings up, and that is that if you're planning on going to a major event like this, you need to plan way ahead because even to get in the front door can cost you hundreds of dollars sometimes, and then you have to realize that a lot of the individual events at these things cost extra. So if there's a play party, you might pay an extra $25 or $50 for that. If there's a social, you might have to pay extra for that. If there's a special banquet or something, you might have to pay extra for that. And before you know it, you have spent hundreds of dollars just to get in the front door, basically. And that doesn't even count the fact that you got to find some place to sleep during those 3 or 4 days. You got to get there, which means it's probably going to be a plane ticket or at the very least, gasoline to drive there. So you got to plan way ahead, and it can be very expensive. But that shouldn't stop you. Now, I was just looking in the chat room, and I did see a comment in the chat room, which I think we ought to talk about, and that is the concern that going to something like this would result in not knowing anyone there and feeling kind of left out or alone or bewildered on your own. And I think that this is a fear that you don't really have to take too seriously, because most of these conventions are set up so that there are just tons and tons of opportunities to make lots and lots of new friends there. And let's face it, that's one of the reasons people go to these things. And so people are pretty friendly, and they will usually go out of their way to introduce themselves to you, hand you a business card, talk you through whatever's going on, or explain things to you. So it'll probably be a great experience for you, even if you're shy and a little worried about knowing anyone. Of course, it's a lot more fun if you can go with someone or arrange to meet old friends there. So that's something you might want to think about there, too. So
okay.
You and I are going to...
My turn on that comment. I'm not in the chat room tonight. I'm having technical difficulties with my computer. But if you allow the fear to take hold of you that, oh, my God, I'm not going to know anybody, and it's the new kid in the school syndrome, everybody's not going to talk to me, I don't have anybody to sit with at lunch, you're going to miss out on the opportunities of a lifetime. This may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you to go, and you are going to miss out on an overall amazing experience, because it's going to be what you're going to make out of it. If you want to go there and be afraid and be a wallflower, you're not going to get as much out of it as if you walk up to one of the fetish models, who are more than likely absolute sweethearts from our experience with Wally and a few other models. They're absolutely wonderful people. They love talking to people. They love taking photos with people and expanding their portfolios. Yes, it helps them get good publicity. But at the same time, they are genuinely nice people. It's like when you go to your first munch. You're kind of leery. People really know you, but you can find somebody that you instantaneously click with, and that's a friendship that you can have for the rest of eternity. And you would miss that because you don't want to go by yourself.
Sure.
For me, if I'm there and you guys want to come find me. I am not the hard redhead to find. Trust me, you will find me.
Yeah. And Red is not shy by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, if you're ever at an event that Red is going to be at, just look for the Amazon redhead in the crowd and just make a beeline for her, and you will have a friend. Trust me on that one. So let me just go down a quick list of some of the major fetish events that are coming up this year. And some of these are a big deal. Some of these are slightly less of a big deal, but I'm just going to rattle some of these off so you have an idea of what is out there in your neck of the woods. We just missed Beat Me in St. Louis, and that's one of the ones that that's probably the first fetish event I ever heard of when I began learning about fetish events all over the country, and that was many, many years ago. Beat Me in St. Louis is one of the oldest, longest-running, and respected fetish events in the country. It was just this last weekend, March 28th to the 30th, and of course it's in St. Louis. That's why it's called Beat Me in St. Louis. What a coincidence. Coming up in April in Dallas is Bondage Expo Dallas, and that should be a lot of fun. It's April 25th to 27th. I'll actually be there. I will be signing books on Saturday all afternoon at Bondage Expo Dallas. So if you want to track me down, buy a book, have me sign it, and buy me a sandwich, then by all means do that. In May, there's DomCon Los Angeles. That's May 14th to 18th. I will be there as well. I will be doing a presentation there, so check it out. Buy me a sandwich. Come see me, make a friend. Later that month, on the 22nd to the 26th of May, is ShibariCon. It's a big deal if you're into rope. ShibariCon in Chicago, Illinois, May 22nd. Be there. Then you skip ahead. I don't really know what's going on in June, but in July in New Jersey, I don't even know how you say this, Piscataway, New Jersey. Somebody out, some New Jersey, and call in and tell me how you say that. But anyway, TES Fest in New Jersey, July 3rd through the 6th. TES Fest stands for the Eugenspiegel Society, and you probably hear Americans calling it the Eugenspiegel Society, but it's a BDSM nonprofit group on the East Coast, very, very well-respected group, and they put on TES Fest every year in July. Then, again, the festival that Red has been talking about, FetishCon in Florida, in Tampa. That's August 7th through the 10th. I will be presenting there as well. Holy crap, I'm presenting at a lot of places. I'm going to sneak up on me. And then... Yeah,
but at least in Tampa, you're going to have your favorite redhead by your side, so...
Absolutely. I'll need you to be my bodyguard or something. Big Amazon redhead. It's okay if you're, like, kneeling at my side on a leash or something, right?
Oh, I already have the whole outfit planned. I have the tail planned. I have my little puppy bed to have right next to you so I can curl up at your feet. Oh, I've got this whole scenario already played out.
There we go. And then later in August, we have BDSM Writers Con, which is the 21st through the 24th. And in just a few moments, we'll have Dr. Charlie Ferrer tell us a little bit more about that. Then at the end of the month, there's one of the biggest fetish festivals in North America, and that's the Montreal Fetish Fair, August 27th. And in September, if you're on the West Coast, and this is one you gotta go to at least once in your life, it's the Folsom Street Festival. You know, every time you see pictures of freaky kinksters on the streets of San Francisco, it's almost always a picture that's been taken at the Folsom Street Festival. So check that out, September 21st. In October, there's DomCon Atlanta. I don't know the exact dates, but it's almost always every October in Atlanta. And then in November, around Thanksgiving, is Spanksgiving. Spanksgiving is a great, great event that you should definitely check into. I mean, the two events that I have always known about for decades and respected and always wanted to go to were the Beat Me in St. Louis and Spanksgiving. I think maybe just because of the pun that's involved. But what we're going to do now is we are going to invite Dr. Charlie Ferrer to tell us all about BDSM Writers Con, which is in August in New York. I think I've got her on the line now. Is this you, Dr. Charlie?
Yep, that's me. How are you?
I am better than I deserve, but that's still pretty good. Yep.
Well, that's one way of saying it.
So now you're throwing a party for all of those erotica writers and BDSM writers and their fans, and it's going to be in New York City. Tell us a little bit about it.
Right. Actually, it's called BDSM Writers Con, and it's for writers and readers of Dominance and Submission. We are hosting a 4-day event. The first 3 days, August 21st through 23rd, is workshops. We're going to have lots of workshops. We're also going to have several live demonstrations from individuals in the community, in the BDSM community that I personally know that are wonderful presenters, and they've been in the lifestyle for a while, so they're BDSM experts. We're also going to have a lot of get-togethers, mix and mingle, cocktail parties, so that the authors and the readers can get together and enjoy time with each other and get to meet each other. On Sunday, on the 24th, August 24th, we're having an event where the authors are signing their books. We may also have a book reading. Several authors may read stories from their books, and individuals can participate in that. So come dressed as your favorite BDSM character and be able to get copies of your book signed or buy new books. And also that event itself on Sunday is open to the public, so anyone and everyone can come. It's going to be in New York City at the Roosevelt Hotel from August 21st through the 24th. And you're actually going to be there. You're one of our wonderful presenters as well as our featured authors. So you can talk a little bit, because I know you're doing the workshop on the Princess Warrior Submissive, which I think is a wonderful understanding of the fact that just because someone is submissive, whether male or female, it does not make them any less than. And they actually have, they're actually tremendous. I think that submissives are something that everyone should have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful people. Yeah.
I just posted a rough draft concept of my book cover, my upcoming book, The Warrior Princess Submissive, and I think it's kind of attractive. It's not, obviously it's not perfect since it's still in rough draft form, but one of the comments I just got maybe an hour ago to the cover was, some dominant, obviously, said, well, I would have preferred it if she looked more like a submissive and less like a warrior. And I said, this is the whole point of the book. There's no conflict between the two.
Right.
And it just made it very clear to me that this book, the topic, is sorely needed. I think this is a submissive for the 21st century. You can be a feminist and a submissive at the same time.
At the same time. And the same thing is true of a submissive male, because most people think, oh, well, he must be a sissy, or he's not strong enough, or he doesn't have any confidence. And yet, the way I tell people to remember a submissive male is, imagine the general that goes out and chops off everybody's head and then comes and kneels before his queen. That's a male submissive. So
I'm so going to steal that.
Oh, wait, feel free.
That is such a great example. It really is. Now, tell us a little bit more about tell us a little bit more about what sort of person wants to come to BDSM Writers Con. It's not just for writers, right?
It's not just for writers. And actually, if you drop the con at the end, it'll say BDSM Writers. And so you can come and meet all your writers, all your favorite writers of the DS genre. Hopefully will be there. If they're not, invite them. But it's for readers and it's for writers. The reason I developed it was because I saw so many writers jumping into the DS wagon. They wanted to have a spank scene. They wanted to have some kind of bondage in their book, but they forgot that there's also a lifestyle involved and a way that we communicate as dominant and submissive within the BDSM lifestyle. And many authors were writing without understanding that dynamic. And that's why BDSM Writers Con became a thing. The other piece that we have the education for the readers, because the readers want to have accurate information. And with them being able to come and get curious, I mean, you know, there's a couple of books out there that have sparked the interest in many readers of, well, what's BDSM like? Wow, I think I might want to be tied up, or I think I might want to tie somebody else up and have them at my feet. And so what BDSM Writers Con offers is the ability for readers and everyone else to be able to see what it's really like, to be able to understand the different nuances that are out there and to educate themselves. And I also say, you know, it's not just about readers and writers. I would say that the people that need to come to this workshop and to this conference are also medical providers, mental health providers, law enforcement, because you're going to learn so much about the lifestyle and about the truth behind it that anyone who works with other individuals, especially in a service-oriented profession like doctors, lawyers, policemen, psychiatrists, mental health workers, social workers, all of these individuals need to educate themselves about what dominance and submission really is all about. And once they do that, they'll be able to service their people better.
Now, I'm gonna ask you a question that's gonna make you go out on a limb here. But what percent do you think of erotica writers who write in this genre have any experience at all in this genre? This will probably make you unpopular with some of them, but I'm just curious.
I think they'll come to the workshop just to whip me, which I don't run that way. But I would say, just making it clear, I would say less than maybe 7%. 5% of the people that are writing in the genre are actually in it. From what I have seen, I've actually been to several workshops and several conferences, even before before BDSM Writers Con became known. But I actually had several authors that have come up to me and said, well, I don't really need to get educated in that stuff. It's just fiction anyway. And I'm just like, could you just give me a second before I answer your question? Because, again, many of the authors that are writing about dominance and submission have no clue what's going on. They either took one workshop at an event for an hour and they figure, oh, I know how to write about dominance and submission, or they've heard about it or read about it somewhere or read another author's book where an author had a great scene about bondage or some kind of an interaction, and they say, oh, well, I can write that. Because, I mean, when you really stop and look at it, we read books and go, well, I could write that. But when you actually sit down to write it, they don't understand the dynamics, and that's why the conference is here. And I've been flabbergasted when I've had authors and well-known authors come up to me and say, well, I'm just writing fiction. It doesn't matter. And so my view on that is I stop and I give myself a second to go, I really don't want to tell you what I think of you right now because that is just such a foolish question or such a foolish comment. But, I turn it around and say, well, let me ask you this. If you're writing a book about lesbians, do you turn around and say, well, I can write whatever I want about lesbians, and in the middle of the book, I'm going to have the lesbian have sex with a man? Because I'm sure that's what she wants to do.
Yeah, I would probably use the example of writing a book about football without ever having watched a game.
Yeah. Well, I love the example that I got, and I can't remember where I got it. But not getting educated is like a gynecologist that's a man. You know, you can understand sometimes how the body is, but if you don't have a vagina, you can't understand what PMS is all about. You know?
Right.
Oh my God, I need to steal that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the example about the chicken and the pig, their level of commitment to the omelet. You know?
Exactly.
Okay, so Little Red has a question for Dr. Charlie.
Sure.
Out of sheer curiosity, because this is one of the things that gets brought up a ton with new people. I read 50 Shades of Grey. Mike and I both have heard this comment several times out of brand new people. Well, I read 50 Shades of Grey. Is that how it is?
Oh, yeah,
And my curiosity is, because I like getting opinions on it, I have read the series. Yes, I admit it. I've read the series just because everybody kept talking about it. I read the series.
Okay.
What is your take on it? Yes.
I'm sure she's been asked this a million times, so she's probably got an answer.
Well, I'm laughing because it's one of those things where I never read the series. I couldn't pass page 30, and so I can't say because I didn't read the book. And again, I found the book when I first was introduced to the book. I actually thought that it was a book for teenagers because the writing was so childish. But I would say the writing is horrible. The depiction of the characters are general junk that we get, that people are continuing with the misconception, with the misrepresentation, with someone who has no clue what the lifestyle is about. But they threw in scenes on contract and on bondage and on, blindfold. The piece that I like about the book, and not about the book itself, but about the craze it created, is that it opened the door for people to talk about the lifestyle. It opened the door for people to say, hey, I'm kind of curious about that. Why don't I go to the club? Why don't I read a book? Why don't I go and go to BDSM Writers Con and check out what it's all about? So as far as that's concerned, I love the book. I love the concept and the idea behind the book. As far as the book is concerned, I will reserve my comments.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the book as literature, but I love the fact that the book has piqued the interest of millions of people and created an environment where people like me and Dr. Charlie can be of some help to a lot of people out there who think that they're all alone in this life or in this lifestyle or in their desires and things like that. So I think that's a wonderful thing.
And that's the beauty of it. And I wrote that, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Mike, because that was when I wrote BDSM, the Naked Truth, my book. My dedication is stated for anyone who's ever sat in the darkness, looked into the abyss, and wondered, am I normal? Because when you have these desires, when you look at somebody and you go, gee, I just want to whip you. Or you look at somebody and say, gee, I wish I was at your, on my knees in front of you. Society says those are bad things. And they say that we shouldn't be thinking that way and we shouldn't be having those desires. And so we immediately think, well, what's wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me. And for the past, decades and centuries, there's always been that piece of there must be something wrong with you. And now, the wonderful piece, too, of NCSF, the National Coalition for Sexual Freedom, they were one of the major advocates against or towards the correction in the DSM-5. It came out that now pathologized dominance and submission. And so now we're at the point where lesbians and gays were 20, 30 years ago, where they were thought to have some kind of mental disorder. And, and now they got taken off the book. in the DSM-3 and now in DSM-5, those that practice consensual dominance and submission, and consensual is a major component of it. Those that practice consensual dominance and submission are thought to have a paraphilia that doesn't need treatment.
Right, that's great. I mean, that really is great because, and even today, even though those changes have been made in the psychiatrics world, there are still an awful lot of people who will look at someone like me and just say, "You're sick." And, it's going to be a long time before we get past that. But I think some of these events that we're seeing and we're able to attend and participate in will go a long ways towards doing that. So we're going to wrap up and just tell us a little bit, tell us something about your event that nobody would even suspect about your event in New York City.
Well, let's see. We're going to have a private party for dominance and submission, so people who are attending the event will be able to go to a private BDSM club and have fun. The wonderful thing, we actually have Cosmo Magazine is going to be attending and getting interviews and such from our participants, as well as Romantic Time. We just learned today Romantic Time book reviews are coming to the conference and doing interviews. The other thing that I wanted to put out there that most people don't realize is that we actually teamed up with 3 publishers in the community, and we are doing a BDSM book contest. And our top 3 individuals in each category will receive an actual book contract from the publishers. So
that's very cool. That's very cool, particularly for first-time authors. Yeah, so get writing, Red. Get writing.
Yeah,
that book,
definitely. Red. Submit your stuff. We have it till the contest is going on till May 31st. The one piece that people don't know, and it's brand new because your people will know it before anyone else, is the Leather Archives is actually joining us as well. And so they will be coming to the conference, and they're going to be presenting on the leather community. So if you're interested in finding out about the leather community, that will be there. And Mike, I wanted to do something for your people, too. So for everyone that's listening to Mike's show, you will get a $75 discount if you sign up within the next 2 weeks. And all you have to put down is group. Put the word group and in the at checkout, and it'll give you $75 discount. So
great, and it's group, not grope, group, GROUP.
With an S.
All right, so if you're listening,
I should put group, shouldn't I? I should put group in the.
Now, okay, so if you're listening to the show tonight and you want to go to BDSM Writers Con in New York City in August, then just when you register, type in the word group in the discount code
group
box,
I
guess
S.
is what it's called, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, with an
and
S.
You'll get $75 off. And you can use that $75 to buy me a sandwich and a lot of cold beer while we're there. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah, but Mike, it's groups with an S.
Groups with an S. Okay, super.
With an S.
All right,
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Dr. Charlie. I appreciate it. We'll get you on a couple more times between now and August to talk about the event and to get people excited
maybe we can talk
coming.
about some of the. Maybe we can talk about some of the workshops that are out there, like yours and Naughty Boy with steel.
I think that's a great idea. It's a great idea. And you know what else is? I think we can also have you back on, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the other things that you're doing. And we're going to do a show. I think we're going to do a show from BDSM Writers Con in New York City, so that'll be fun too. So
that'll be awesome. So that's a surprise that nobody knew, right?
It's exactly. Oh, I just made that up just now. So
yeah, there you go. You could do it at one of the mingles.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants. It's like that duck, it's paddling underwater frantically. Above, I have this aura of serene, competence,
and they look
calm.
beautiful going across the pond.
There you go. So, all right. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Dr. Charlie. We'll get you on more often between now and then. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye now. So, Red, isn't she great?
Oh, my God, she's awesome. I need to use the line about the gynecologist. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I had to put myself on mute because I was laughing way too hard.
It's a great line. It's hard to talk with Dr. Charlie without wanting to take notes and steal all the best lines. So I mean, it's just
okay. So Little Red is being Little Red right now. So
okay.
I'm looking at your picture of the Warrior Princess. Okay.
On my book cover.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And?
Okay. And this is totally sidebar thing. I've been looking at it for like the last 10 minutes. Okay.
Everything
think
about
it's
you
a
is
beautiful
sidebar.
Design. But I would rather see her kneeling face down with the swords in front of her, one crossed in front of her, one in each hand crossed over, but her kneeling down. That would be extremely invoking for me.
Yeah. I like this design that I'm considering using, and this is not by any means set in concrete, but that's just the best one I've come up with so far. And believe it or not, I've gone through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of models and stock photos to find even this one. Most of them really suck. I'm sorry. If anyone sees something that's really good out there, send me a link or send me a picture or something, and I'll figure out what I got to do.
It's very pretty. It is, and it's very, very thought-provoking with the swords crossed over her shoulder that way and the dragon tattoo going down and the kimono around her waist and her kneeling like that. It's very invoking that way. But for me, the kneeling warrior princess, because she is bowing to her master, but she would defend him.
Yes. Yeah. If I can find that, I'll use it. I'm going to put you to work. I'm giving you some. I'm giving you some homework, Red. Find it for me, and I will use it. Believe me, I've been looking for that.
Have you ever given me a task or a challenge? I have it completed.
You've done a pretty good job of everything. Somebody else, LB, our friend LB, I gave her some homework to do exactly the same thing, and so hopefully you guys will find something good. Otherwise, I'm using the girl with the dragon tattoo. I think it's a beautiful picture, and you're right. It's not exactly what I would want if I were creating it out of whole cloth, but I'm not. I have to kind of choose from what's out there. So anyway, we're kind of getting off the topic. We've been talking this evening. For those of you who are just tuning in, we've been talking about major fetish events, and we're talking about events that have hundreds of people there, so that you can, for maybe just once in your life, look around, see hundreds of other people who are just as kinky, just as freaky as you are, and that alone is a really amazing feeling. There's so many people in this lifestyle get where they are believing that they are the only ones, that nobody is like them, that they're a freak, that they're bad, or that they are sick in the head or whatever. And it's just nice sometimes to look around, see hundreds and hundreds of people just like you, all there for the same reason, to feel a part of something, to feel some sense of fellowship, a sense of belonging, a sense that you, for once in your life, just might be normal, and to learn something. There's a lot of good stuff out there to learn. So that's what we've been talking about tonight, is major fetish events, and there's all kinds. We just got done talking with Dr. Charlie about BDSM Writers Con in New York in August, and that is, what's the date on that? It's August 21 through 24, which is about 2 weeks after Fetish Con in Tampa, which I will be at both of these events. I will be talking about the Warrior Princess at BDSM Writers Con, and I will be talking about abrasion play and giving a demonstration of coin striping at Fetish Con. So, kind of neat transition there. But if you're interested in going to BDSM Writers Con, get with me. Remember to put groups in the discount code, and you'll get a $75 discount. And Red, are you going to go to anything other than Fetish Con, or your one-shot deal for the year?
I think this is going to be my one-shot deal for the year, between kids in school and work and home and the plethora of other things I'm involved in currently, because I did take so long in preparing for it. This is I've already told my boss too, and I'm like, I don't care, schedule me. I won't be here. My flight leaves Thursday morning. I land Thursday afternoon. I pick up my car. I go to the hotel. I catch a nap, and then I get to go party for 3 glorious days with a boatload of kinky people.
You know what I took away? You want to know what I took away from all of that is the fact that you used the word plethora, and you know how big words turn me on, right?
I know, and I specifically did that just for you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You're just playing with me here. Okay, so now we don't have a whole lot more time. We got about 15 minutes till the end of the show. Let's talk about some of the things that might be of concern to people who might want to go to something like Fetish Con or BDSM Writers Con or Shibari Con or any of these, Spanksgiving. What are some of the things that you think would be a concern to somebody going to one of these the first time, especially since you're going to one of these for the first time? What are the things you're worried about? You've talked about what you're excited about. Now tell me what you're worried about.
I'm not really too worried about much because, you know, I'm a pretty big girl. But some of the obvious concerns are there's going to be assholes and rather rude and obnoxious people that are going to come in just to take a look around. You are going to get vanillas that come in and gawk. You're going to get people who are going to give you crap if you go out on the street or say you're in fetish wear and you guys get hungry, you don't want to eat at the hotel or the convention center, and you want to go out in town. There are going to be people who are going to give you grief who don't understand. They're small-minded and bigot, and let them go on about their business. Financials is another thing. That's why it's taking me so long in planning, because I've set aside, you know, you don't want to take your rent money to buy a plane ticket. You need a place to come home to. If you're going by yourself, do the smart thing. Don't go to somebody's hotel room who you have no idea who they are and they want to play with you. You're going to end up in somebody's basement with put the lotion on the skin or it gets the hose. Please don't be that statistic.
You're such an optimist.
Oh, no, I'm a realist. There are very dangerous and bad people.
Yes, I know. You know, the difference between an optimist, a pessimist, and a realist, right? An optimist says the glass is half full. A pessimist says the glass is half empty. And a realist says the glass is twice as big as it needs to be. So that's my witticism.
While the pessimist and the optimist are arguing, the realist drinks it and goes, damn, that was good whiskey.
There you go. Now, let me bring up a few issues that might be of concern to people that we haven't talked about tonight. And let me tell you what they are for many people out there, because I talk to people every day about stuff like this, and I get an earful. It's what I do for a living. When I'm not being a smartass, a professional smartass, I'm a professional advice giver for the most part. And one of the things that many, many people are concerned about is their anonymity. They really don't want their name associated with Fetish Con or BDSM or kink or whatever. They have jobs back home. They have families. They have a lot of concerns about their privacy. And so it's very, very scary for a lot of people to attend something like this with hundreds of people that they don't know and, for frankly, don't trust with their information. And so it's a very scary
concern.
Thing.
That is a very valid concern. But for like me, you met my mom at an event we held.
Oh, sure.
My mom came with me.
Well, yeah, but your mom is just as crazy as you are. So I mean, that's kind of atypical. Most people, their moms aren't listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as being almost as crazy.
But like I've said before, my family is very accepting of what and who I am, and I know a lot of people don't have that, which is
and
sad in my opinion.
You're talking to a guy who has lost a very high-paying job because of my lifestyle. And so I'm very cognizant of people people's concerns in this regard. So for those of you who are worried about that, let me just tell you that most of these events have a no photographs rule, no pictures, no cameras, and so you can't take you can't whip your phone out and take pictures of people in the dungeon, because that's just not done. It's a good way to get your phone taken away from you. And in fact, at the last fetish convention I went to, believe it or not, I mean, I know this rule. I'm the one who, I write about it, I talk about it, I caution people about it, and yet I fell into the same trap. The convention that I went to had a very public ceremony in the lobby of the hotel in front of 1 million vanilla people. Okay, get this, and they were cutting the ribbon for the Leather Festival Museum, and they were cutting the ribbon, and there were photographers throughout the crowd taking pictures of the ribbon cutting ceremony. And I thought, well, there's 5 people all around me taking pictures. I guess it's okay to take a picture. And I thought, because it's in the lobby in front of all these vanilla people and all these other people are taking pictures, boom. I mean, like, security was on me like chickens on a June bug. They were on me like instantly. And they said, yeah, got to delete that picture. And I showed them that I deleted the picture. And it turns out that the people who were taking pictures, it had all been prearranged with permission, and they were under very tight restrictions on how they could use those pictures. And so I fell into the trap, and again, I've warned other people about this, so I feel pretty silly about falling into it myself, but I fell into the trap of believing that because there are people around me taking pictures, that it's okay to take pictures. And I was wrong, and I admit it here. And put this on your calendar, because it's a very rare occasion that you'll ever hear me say that I was wrong. So it's a special occasion for many of you out there. Somebody out there dancing in this. Someone out there is dancing in the street at my admission that I have been wrong before. So anyway, that's one thing. That's one thing that some people are very concerned about is seeing pictures of themselves showing up on Facebook or in the newspapers or someplace, and that's probably not going to happen. So you can be pretty certain that you're safe in that regard. Now, one of the other things that people are always concerned about with these things is the fact that the organizers of these events have to be very, very careful about ensuring that nobody gets into these events that shouldn't be there. Primarily, that means minors. And not just minors, but, unfortunately in this country, we have a classification, an age classification that exists between 18 and 21 that puts a lot of people in sort of limbo. You are considered an adult for just about everything until it comes to things like alcohol or kinky sex. Let's face it, and for that matter, 18 and above should be good for that as well, but you know what? It isn't. Most of these fetish events will not let you in the door if you're under 21. So keep that in mind. If you're in that no man's land between 18 and 21, you want to check well ahead of time to see if they will let you in the door. Here's the other thing. If you are someone who doesn't want your real name out there, if you're someone who uses a professional name, if you're an author who uses a pen name or something along those lines, you got to show your ID to get in the door. You're going to have to give them your real name. Now, here's the good news. The organizers of these events have a stake in maintaining your trust. So they're not going to throw you under the bus. So just kind of keep that in mind. If they did that,
unless a court order comes into play. And if a court order comes into play, you do something epically, stupidly wrong.
Yeah, well, yes. Well, that's pretty much the case anywhere you are, no matter what you're doing. But the point here is that most of you who are worried about giving up your real name for something like this, just know that that's the only time you'll be asked for it, when you show your ID to get registered, and that's it. So you can kind of rest assured that you're not going to get thrown under the bus. You're not going to be sacrificed on the altar of political correctness or anything like that. So just kind of keep those things in mind. I think there's one other thing that a lot of people worry about, which is sounds probably kind of silly to you and me, Red, or to other people who've been in the lifestyle for a long time, and that is the fear that they will be pressured to do something or participate in some activity that they don't feel ready for. In other words, there's this misconception that a fetish event, whether it's a small one or a big one, is really just one big orgy, and it's not. Now, that's not to say that sometimes sexual activities don't happen at these things. They sometimes do. Usually they do not. I'll tell you, usually, I'm going to say 90% of the time, they're not going to occur at something like this. But there are events where it is not just tolerated, but actually encouraged, but it's a rarity. And even then, you will never be pressured to do something or participate in an activity that you don't consent to and want to participate in. So just kind of put those fears out of your mind.
If someone is pressuring you and you feel beyond uncomfortable, go find one of the security. It'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
Promise.
Yeah. Now, I was kind of surprised. The last fetish event I went to, and I'm not going to say which one it was, but the last fetish event that I went to had a very large dungeon play party in the hotel, in the ballroom of a hotel. So we're talking very large. It was a facility you could probably have fit 300 people into very, very easily. Huge dungeon, very well equipped, very well organized. I can't say enough about how well put together the event was. And even so, there was explicit sex acts going on in the dungeon. Now, that's pretty rare, and but when you look at the fact that you could not get in there without a Tyvek armband, they had security at all the doors, not even the hotel staff could get in there. So it was pretty secure. And they went to great lengths to ensure that nobody who didn't belong there went in there. And they also made it very clear to everybody beforehand that those sorts of things could be going on in there. So nobody was surprised by it. Well, I was mildly surprised by it, not because it was a shock, but because it's just not that common to see. So, any last minute thoughts or comments you want to make about these sorts of events, Red?
You're interested in one? Start planning. Start putting, $20 here, $30 there away, because you're facing almost $1,000, depending on where you're coming in from, to go to these things. But you are going to get every ounce of fun out of it that you're going to want to get out of it. If you go in there thinking this is going to be amazing, it's going to be. And you're going to make friends that are going to last you a lifetime.
I think so. And I know that I have made some great friends at some of the events that I've been to, and it's been a great way to see old friends again. And I look forward to the events that I'll be going to here very shortly. I just want to refresh folks' minds, or refresh your memories. If you want to see me at an event, I will be in Las Vegas from the 19th to the 21st of April. I will be at Bondage Expo Dallas from the 25th to 27th of April. I'll be at DomCon LA presenting May 14 to 18. I may be at ShibariCon. I don't think so, though. And I will be presenting at FetishCon in Tampa August 7th through the 10th, and BDSM WritersCon August 21st through 24th. And those are only the events that I know about off the top of my head. So my schedule is filling up. If you know someplace I should be, just give me a holler and tell me where I should be, and I'll do my best to be there. So I want to thank you all for listening to DS Radio. My name is Michael Makai, the author of Domination Submission, the BDSM Relationship Handbook, and my co-host has been Little Red, Amazon Redhead Masochist Extraordinaire, and we hope you'll be back next week for more DS Radio. Take care now.